Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from De Bruyn Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'll wake up here. What a lovely day. Let's all give thanks to God for the wonderful, wonderful start of the holiday weekend He has given us. We can all be outside today, enjoying nature, and maybe working in your garden, maybe just playing outside, but we can all be there. Excuse me, I do have a cough today, so I will be interrupting this from time to time to cough. I am going to remind people I am still taking pictures for the 2025 De Bruyn pet calendar. So if you want your pet featured in the De Bruyn calendar, you need to get them over to me at De Bruyn Seed. You can email them to me at debruyneseed@gmail.com. I can do this, De Bruyn Seed, DEBRUYNS as in Sam, EED, @gmail.com. You can email me your pictures. I need the dog or cat or horse or whatever's name, and then your name. Or you can drop them by. I can scan them in the system, and we can get them that way. I will return your pictures. I don't need to keep your pictures, but I can scan them in, and we'll have them. And the calendars will be ready around Thanksgiving. I'll give you a call or email, however you got a hold of me, and we will we'll let you know when the time to pick up your calendar. It's way too much fun. So get your pictures, and we have a lot of people that give me pictures of their pets every year. I don't know how people get these absolutely adorable pictures of their pets. Their pet sits still and pose. Mine looks at me when I've got a camera, and just all I get is the back end of him all the time. So obviously mine is not trained well enough. So mine probably won't make it again this year because I don't get a good picture like you guys all do. And also, I am still collecting aid for Puerto Rico. I talked to them last week. That latest hurricane did give power outages. They still have power. The power is out. They have been continuing on with their spaying and neutering and keeping dogs healthy and doing the clinics for well animal visits and getting dogs and cats and pets healthy. So if you could drop off any medications that you got for your dog or cat or you, and you didn't take them all, I would gladly take them off your hand and get them down to Puerto Rico, and they will gladly use them on somebody. Somebody will need them. So that always works. Also take bandage material and any medical supplies you might have. I will ship that all down. Just make sure it fits in a box. I don't want to send a huge box like a great big rubber raft or anything, but I do small boxes, or medium-sized boxes, let's put it that way, and to get it down there. But I would always appreciate that. I'm going to send some more stuff down this week. And after that, now I've got those announcements out of the way. We do have the phone lines open, 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. De Bruyn's, it seems like everybody is planting something. And if they aren't putting in a lawn, they are putting in a deer plot, or they're just finishing up their fall gardening chores, putting in the last of their fall garden stuff. And you can do that. Or I hate to say this, but it is fall at De Bruyn's. We do have the bulbs, not the bulbs. We have the mums and the fall pansies right now. They are ready to pick up. They are gorgeous right now. Ken's got a 3 for and everyone was picking up 3, and there is some beautiful colors right now. And I will give you a hint. If you want the best blooms, get one that's full of buds right now that isn't open, and then you can enjoy it for a longer period of time. So that's my hint for you. Don't always go for the ones that are really big and bushy and all full. Um, Go for the ones that just have lots of buds on them. Those are the prettier ones later on if you got a little patience. If not, that's okay too. Um, Ken did put grass seed on sale, the sun and shade. The 5 pound bag and the 25 pound bag is on sale right now. For all of you folks that are putting in new lawns, this is the time of year. Although it's kind of hard to believe it when it's so hot out there, but this is the time of year, August 15 to October 15. I think I probably would wait just a little bit just because it's so hot and humid out. But hey, if you can keep it watered, go for it. That's the whole thing. You need to keep it watered. But that's all ready to go. The lyric bird seed and the pine tree seed cakes, the large seed cakes, they are still on sale, $3 off. I think that goes through the end of this coming week. So that's been on for quite a while, but Ken still got it on sale. The Sweet Licks and Trophy Deer Rock are on sale. So if you want one of those, I would pick them up now. Those are going off sale, I believe, at the end of the day today. So yeah, it's always good to know. But yes, everybody seems to be planting right now. Just everybody. Now, if you're doing a fall garden, you probably should have it in. Yeah, I would hope you've got most of the stuff in by now, especially peas. If you were going to do them, I hope you've got those in and they're growing. You can still do some lettuce and spinach. That's pretty short day type crop, or radishes. Those are all short day. End of the season for turnips and carrots and things like that. Those are usually best done in August, although we are just over into the next month. So I bet you could probably plant those right now, and the ground would forgive you for that. A lot of the deer things are ready to go. Buckwheat, folks, come on. That is a warm weather crop. Needs warm soils. Yes, we have warm soils right now, but we're not going to have warm air in another month. It takes 10 weeks to grow. I don't know if we've got 10 weeks of warm weather ahead. So buckwheat is probably not the thing to put in right now. Oats, rye, wheat, you can do those sorts of things. And pasture mixes, you can do that. Clover seed can go in September. That's fine also. But buckwheat, no. Let's just say that's done for the year. That's I hate to have you spend all this money on something that's just not going to come up, or it will come up and then it just dies off, and then you get really upset because it didn't really do well for you. So let's just stick to stuff that will do well right now. Um, that that is the good thing. Grasses, things like grasses will do really well right now. You do need to keep them well watered, although with humidity out, I think that counts as watering. But um, my plants have needed a lot of water lately. I don't know what's going on, but I'm assuming that your lawn's going to need a lot of water also. If you're putting in a larger area for grass seed, I would, well, I definitely use the starter fertilizer, but I would use the starter fertilizer by Scott's that has the weed preventer in it that will prevent weeds from coming up. And then you don't have to worry about that for the first 6 weeks of the little grass's life, that it can just be growing all by itself without any worries of any other horrible weeds coming in and taking over. So I would definitely do that. We do have, I think it's a 5 and a 10,000 square foot bag of that. Well worth putting down. I know it's a little more expensive than just plain starter fertilizer, but boy, if you can get rid of those weeds for the first 6 weeks, you're way ahead of the game. So, and after 6 weeks, the weeds really aren't popping up too much anymore. But yeah, you need to get that grass up, growing, and crowd out any weeds. So that's 6 weeks will give you a good shot. Good shot down the road here. The hot, humid weather, fungal problems have been horrible. Um, I hate to even say it. Dollar spot in the lawns has been terrible. The in the gardens, the powdery mildew, which doesn't look like it should be that bad, looks like just someone sprinkled some talcum powder over your plants, but really that white powder um, makes it the so the plant can't produce chlorophyll doesn't work, and if that doesn't work, there's no energy going to the plant. So yes, that white powdery stuff, which does not come off, is a horrible thing. So we do need, if you see any sort of sign of that, we do need to spray a fungicide. If you get it normally, you haven't gotten it yet, I would spray a preventative. It's easier to prevent than it is to try cure it. So keep those areas nice and protected. Um, and make sure your garden and landscape beds are well weeded. Those weeds are where insects like to live, where fungal spores are, and it also takes all the nutrients out of the soil that your plants need. So get rid of the weeds. I know it's not a fun thing to do, but it doesn't really take you that long to weed a garden bed. I know some of us have large garden beds, but keep them weeded all summer long. I mean, you can put a mulch over top of it to prevent a lot of the weeds from coming. Um, you can use preen, whatever, but you need to keep the weeds out of there. You need to keep. I don't know. I've seen so many. You don't even know where the rows are because the weeds are so bad. And now, come on, if you're going to do a garden, do spend some time in it. Spend some time doing it, having fun with it. That's the whole gist of the matter. And if you're sick of your garden right now and not going to do any fall crops, that's perfectly fine too. Cleaning up your garden does mean picking up anything on the ground, tomatoes, squash, anything that might have fallen, and you think, well, it will just decompose. Yes, it will, but you'll probably get some sort of volunteer plant from it. And then next summer, you're going to want us to identify it, and we can't. So it's whatever was pollinated by whatever bees and whatever. So you don't know if something is growing in your garden and you're eating the flesh, like say a squash or whatever, and you're not really eating the seeds. It doesn't care if it gets cross pollinated or not. Corn does matter if it gets cross pollinated. It will taste terrible if it's cross pollinated because you're eating the seed itself. If you're not eating the seed itself, you're fine to go. You're good to go. Tomatoes, whatever, you're good to go. You're eating the flesh. What you're concentrating on. So not a big deal. But do remember that things do cross pollinate without any of your permission. Bees go from one thing to another. So if you've got cucumbers and pumpkins in your garden, they probably cross pollinated. The bees probably went from one to another. So don't think that you can take the seed and get something that's true to the parent. That's the problem with that. Unless you've got only one thing and nobody's garden around has anything else, because those bees are little tricky things. They're everywhere. They visit. I don't know. I can't remember. It's some astronomical numbers of visits, and an average cucumber flower. If you've got a female flower on your plant, it's only open for one day. It needs 15 bee visits to get the pollen there. So it needs 15 bees in and out. And who knows where that bee was right before it came in and dropping off pollen for this one. So, yeah, 15 bee visits in one day it needs to be able to produce a cucumber. I'm just shocked. I didn't, and I want to know who sat there and watched that or who did the research on it. But it is 15 bee visits to get a cucumber. So keep that in mind. We need our bees. We need to stop and listen to some messages, and we will be right back with the garden hour. And we are back with some smooth music there. We were talking about pollinating the plants by the bees. And, we do really need to um, take care of the bees that are outside. And that just doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to plant some flowers for them. Actually, you know, there is a lot of stuff out there already for them, and it's not just honeybees that we're worried about. We're also worried about our native bees. We've got something like 3,000 or 4,000 different types of native bees that are out there that we need to keep going. So, really, we do plant for that. And I know everyone's like, well, we got to plant native plants, but it's awful hard to do a native plant. Michigan was known as a forest state. We didn't have prairies, we didn't have wide open ranges with lots of different plants in them. We had trees. And, and they say natural from when, um, yeah, is it 100 years ago? Is it 400 years ago? Is it 1,000 years ago? It's kind of hard to say. So, whatever grows well and is not invasive is fine with me. If your bees love it, that is something that you need to plant, especially if it's got a nice flower on it or whatever. But, in your garden, there are times you do need to spray stuff and you don't really want to hurt the bees. So there are a couple things I want you to do if you have to spray something. If you want to do an herbicide or an insecticide in your garden or whatever, I want you to spray early in the morning. Now, this is just as the sun comes up, and on a day where there is no chance of wind. Very still day. This is kind of a still day. There's just a little bit of leaves blowing in the cottonwood trees out there, but you want a still type of day to work best. Um, a still day early in the morning before the bees are up, you can spray. I want you to spray the leaves only. I don't want you to spray the flowers of any plants because that's where the bees land. They usually don't land on a leaf, they're usually on the flower. So we need to avoid spraying flowers. Now, this really, you're going to need one of those triggers where you can really know where you're going to spray. And do be careful as you're spraying. Once it's dry, it's usually fine for the bees or whatever to walk over top of. And remember, everything kills bees. I don't know where people got this idea that if it's organic, it's not going to kill bees. Of course, it will kill bees. So do be careful with whatever you are spraying. I mean, you can kill them with a stream of water. So, let's be real careful when we're spraying anything on our plants, and we're only spraying the leaves only, not the flowers. And early in the morning or late in the evening after the bees are gone, we're going to be doing this. Period. Now, if you're going to apply something like Dilox to your lawn right now to get rid of the skunks and to get rid of the grubs that the skunks are eating, I want you to first mow the lawn, and if you've got any clover in your lawn. So you're going to cut the clover off, and then you can apply your Dilox, water it in, and then you can let the clover grow again, and that's fine. Because the Dilox breaks down in the soil within 7 days, so no big deal there. But I do want you to cut it down first so the bees aren't coming in there as you're applying this stuff. So cut off the clover and any other flowering plant that's flowering weed that happens to be in your lawn at the time. Cut that off first and then put down your Dilox to kill your grubs. that works the best, and then you don't have to worry about the bees coming in there and going on the flower of the clover, and yeah, that's you just don't have to worry about that. So you've taken that out of the equation. So that works well. Remember, mow first and then apply it, and then actually you can get it on the ground, and that's where it needs to be anyway. If you've already cut the lawn shorter, you can get down there to get that down there, and then water it in well. Um, if you do have grubs right now, and a lot of people do, you see those birds are just you see great big swarms of birds, and they're all on somebody's lawn. They're looking for grubs, and they're probably finding it, and that's why there's so many of them there, and they're everywhere right now. So yes, there are a lot of grubs out there. So if you got that, and then you smelling some skunks in the neighborhood at night, get that Dilox down and get it watered in well, so the skunks don't come to your house looking for dinner at night. That makes a huge mess. I don't know if you ever had that, but that is just a huge mess. So let's avoid that by doing the Dilox now. Got a weekend here where we can do it. I don't remember hearing about any thunderstorms or any storm. Oh, there are storms coming? No, none. So you're going to have to water it in by hand, because it does need to be watered in. It photo degrades in the sunshine, which means it will be there, but by 24 hours later, it will be gone if you haven't watered it in well. So we do need to make sure we do water that. We had a couple people call me this week. Well, gosh, it didn't really work well. Did you water it in? No. Well, it says it very distinctly on the bag, and hopefully whoever sold it to you at DeBrine's also told you did need to water that in. So do believe us if we say it needs to be watered in, it definitely needs to be watered in. Some things are like fertilizer. Doesn't really matter most of the time for a slow release fertilizer. Doesn't matter if it sits on the ground without you watering it in. It's only going to work once it's watered in. So it doesn't make any sense not to water it in. The only one would be like a weed and feed, where you water first and then you apply the weed and feed so it sticks to the leaves of the weeds. But other than that, most things are kind of an optional watering afterwards, but it does actually make the product work if you've watered it. So it's a good idea to get it to water it in. That would be wonderful. So let's water in our stuff. I'm looking at my paper here. What else did I want to talk about? Deer right now. They seem to be congregating in people's backyard for whatever reason. I don't know, family reunions or whatever. People are having a hard time keeping their plants away from the deer. We do have several different new products out there. One's called Plant Skid. That is based on like a dried blood type thing. I think it smells horrible. The guys love it. They think it smells great. I'm not my cup of tea. It does work extremely well. And also we have Everguard. That's another new one that was first developed out in Maine, against the deer and the moose from eating people's yards. And it seemed to work well there. So it seems to be working here also. So both of those brand new ones. So if you're not having the best luck anymore with liquid fence, it's always best to kind of vary what you use anyway. So you might want to use the Plant Skid or the Everguard. Both of those work extremely well. I think they both come in granular and in a liquid form. So you can either put like a granular around something if they're eating your hostas or they're eating something, protect them, put something around them, and that should work well. And fall fertilizers, yes, it's around that time of year again. I think might be a little bit earlier, but hey, people are putting them down. That works. If you want to do a weed and feed, I would hold off on that until around the 1st of October. It's always best to do a weed and feed, say 10-4 to weeds on 10-4. So we will do weed and feed later, but if you want to put down a fall fertilizer right now, be welcome to do it. Water it in well. Once it's watered in, you can go back on the lawn with no problem once it's watered into the ground, and you should be fine. Um, and if you're like me, I like to walk around my yard with large my gallon thing of weed killer, and it's got a nice little wand on it that's got a battery in it. And you just push the button, and the stuff comes out, and it hits what you want it to hit. I love this stuff, and I love to walk around my front yard. And from a distance, my front yard looks beautiful. It looks nice and green. It looks like it doesn't have a weed in it. I get close up to that thing, and there are dandelion leaves in there. There's crabgrass. There's clover. There's spurge. I could probably get one of every different type of weed just from my front yard. I was so appalled the other day when I was walking. Oh my goodness, look at that. Um, so I sprayed them all. They're all dead now, basically. They they died within a week. It's been nice, even though we had a little bit of rain there. It seems to have worked well, but I was absolutely shocked. It didn't take long. I mean, I walked through the whole front yard, and I did the neighbors too when I'm walking. You once you start on this and you start spraying the weeds, you kind of, oh, look over there, and look over there, and look over there. I got one of the ones that also does the large crabgrass, because I noticed by the road there were two huge patches of crabgrass that I honestly had not seen before, because for some reason that color had blended in with the rest of the lawn. So I got those too. So they'll be on their way out soon. So, if you want to do that, the BioAdvance has got a great product, and so does Scott's Roundup for Lawns. Works well too. So with that, we need to stop and take a listen to the news, and we will be back with the WHTC Garden Show after that happens. Lines are open. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. It is a Labor Day weekend. That is the first weekend of fall. Now, we have to remember all those little house plants that we brought outside, and we thought they'll love it outside all summer, and they have. Now we have to start thinking about bringing them in. But now don't bring them in cold turkey like one day. Well, okay, I'm going to bring them in today. Don't do that. They really need to get more acclimated to the lesser amount of sunshine they're going to get. So put them in the shade first for a little while, and then we are going to bring them inside. And we do have a caller in line. Good morning, caller. You're on the Garden Show.
Yes, I've got this big problem with my phlox. They're just completely covered with mildew, and I don't know if I should cut them all down and get rid of them all, or if I should leave them. I don't have any leaves on that are helping the plant at all, that's for sure. But I wondered if that would kill them.
The powdery mildew will kill them, so I would actually just cut them down now.
All the way down to the bottom.
Excuse me. Yes, all the way down to the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And is that the same for the for peonies? I have it on my peonies too.
Oh yes, you can cut your peonies down also.
Okay, it's not too early to do that.
No, the days are getting shorter. It's just this weather is making it seem different, but
Right.
yeah, the days are getting shorter, so you can kind of put them to bed right now.
Okay, good. I didn't know what to do with those things. They're just awful. So next year, I hope I have some spray that I can spray before they.
Yes, phlox are notorious for that. So yeah,
Oh,
when the weather gets
terrible.
hot and humid, start spraying them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okie doke. Thanks so much.
Yep. Good luck. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Yeah. Sometimes if it pretty much involving the whole plant, just cut it down. If it's a perennial, the life is in the roots. Don't worry about it. It will come back next year. After you've cut it down, get rid of the tops. We don't want that powdery mildew going all over the garden. Don't put it in the compost pile. Do get rid of it, discard it. And once you get it down, you might want to put down a little fertilizer on the area, just to help winter it in there, so to speak, and you should be fine. Okay, we were talking about the house plants, bringing them in. Put them in the shade now for a little shadier area right now. There is a lot of difference between in the sunlight outside and in a sunny window inside. There is a lot of difference. So we do need to get them more acclimated to being inside, and they will be a lot happier when you bring them in. Now I put my Christmas cactus in the shade this week. Those little things, my gosh, they took off again. I cut them down. I gave them a severe haircut this spring, thinking they won't be so huge in the house. And I think they got bigger now than when I had them, when I brought them out. Ugh. But anyway, they're in the shade right now. They're loving it in the shade, and they'll be there for a couple of weeks here. Once the weather gets down to 50 degrees at night, those houseplants need to come inside, especially if they're tropical plants. They need to skedaddle inside. You'll need to cut them back first and then bring them in. Make sure you check for any hitchhikers. And that doesn't just mean the hitchhikers on top of the plant. Um, Check the soil underneath the plant. Sometimes you get toads in there, and I had three toads in my plant, one of this big plant that I had, and I brought it in, and I had three toads bouncing around my living room. My cat thought it was most fun she had ever had in her life, and I am trying to catch these little toads, and it just drove me nuts. So do take care that you're not bringing them in. And I mean, when they are still, you really don't see them. There, I was noticing when I was spraying weeds the other day, there was this little toad, and when I stopped, I'm like, it just kind of, and I looked at it three times before it really occurred to me that that's a toad right next to my toe here. Not spraying anywhere around him. But yes, they're small. At least they are by my house. They're maybe 2 inches. But they're very well camouflaged. Mine are kind of brown and different colors of mottled brown. But you don't want to bring them in. That's just my thoughts. Maybe you want to be chasing around toads in your house, but I certainly did not care for that at all. I'm trying to catch them before the cat does, and oh my gosh, it was just sheer pandemonium in my house. So do check, make sure that you don't not bringing in toads, and that you are just bringing in what you want to be bringing in, which is the plant. Sometimes you can put the plant in the shower, and a lot of times that will help knock off any bugs that might be on it. If you suspect there might be bugs in the soil, then what you do is you get a large bucket, fill it with water, and then dump the whole pot in there, all up to the top of the pot, so the whole root system of the plant is underwater, and that should get rid of any bugs inside there. That should help immensely. So you can, do little tricks like that. Some people like to spray it with like insecticidal soap. You do need to cover the entire plant with it, under the leaves as well as on top of the leaves. So when you are spraying, make sure you get the whole thing, because if they're hiding under the leaves, you'll never get them if you're just spraying the top of the leaves. They'll just stay underneath the leaves. So we have to remember to make sure to get the top and the bottom of the leaves as you bring them in. But yeah, I usually put them in the shower, give them a good shower first, and then don't put them next to any plant that spent the summer inside. We're going to kind of quarantine these for a month or so just in case all of a sudden you'll find mealy bugs or something. We don't want to get it on everything. We don't want to get it on whatever stayed inside the house. So do be careful about that. Do quarantine them, put them in a room or separate from your other plants, and they should like it there. Um, I've I've got a couple mandavillas that I bring in every fall, and I have to admit I'm going to be a little sad to take those in because they have done so well outside this summer. They have looked so pretty, but when you do bring them in, you do need to cut them back. This thing has grown through. One of them has grown through a fence. It's going to be hard to cut this thing back. It's huge, but you do need to cut them back before you bring them in. Don't expect any blossoms during the winter, but when you bring them out next summer, they will be just absolutely beautiful. They will just take off like mine did this year. They loved it outside this year. So, but again, that is another one of those plants that really does need to be taken in before it hits 50 degrees at night. They do not care for that cold weather at all. So do take care of your plants. And, some things can come in and overwinter. Some things don't do very well overwintering at all. My sister has great luck overwintering all of her geraniums. They seem to work really well for her. I don't have a lot of luck with that, but I work at DeBrine's and I can get new ones every spring, so it's not a big deal. But she has good luck. She has kept the same geranium for I don't know how many years. It's huge now. She keeps cutting it back, but it just gets bigger and bigger. So you can do that too. And we need to stop and take a break now. My goodness, I've been rambling on way too long. We will stop, listen to a couple of messages, and I will be back with the end of the garden show after this. Okay, you woke me up with that one. Terrible. Man, wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay, we're going to talk about birds right now. The hummingbirds are still here. We will still see them through usually September. So keep the hummingbird feeders out. Keep the nectar filled. You're not going to see them as often, but when they do come, they'll be there for a while because they're getting enough energy to continue their migratory flight south. So they are moving south right now. The ones that probably stayed here all summer are probably gone, but we'll see the ones that were further north as they come through. So do keep those hummingbird feeders out through the end of September, please, for them. Make sure you put out a feed for the migrating birds right now. Something with some fruit, nuts in it would be lovely. Maybe even some mealworms. Add some mealworms to your feed right now to get those migrating birds that normally just eat insects or they eat fruit or nuts. Great thing to put out right now. We've got a fruit and nut mixture, which would be great to go out. Mr. B's fruit and nut mix works well. My just my plain old no waste mix, Jan's no waste mix at DeBrine's, that works well also. Put that out this time of year. It's got little suet nuggets in it. It's got nuts. The birds like it. A lot of birds like it. So you'll get different birds at your feeder. And also, if you have a bird bath, keep it filled with clean water. The birds do need water as they're flying south. Remember that they fly south at night. They don't fly during the day. During the day, they are flitting around here trying to find food. So if you provide the food source for them, that's even better. They will appreciate that just a little bit more. Excuse me, my throat's got a tickle in it again. Okay. So keep that food source out, keep the water source out for the birds that are flying south. Pretty soon we'll just be stuck with our regular winter friends. But right now we've got a lot of them coming through that are so pretty. So, you know, try try to catch a glimpse of them as they come through. They're not always the ones that are going to be the showy one or the ones that are at the feeder, but they might be in your bushes or whatever. That's kind of fun. If you're sitting there quiet, you could probably see some that normally you don't see. Okay. My goodness, my throat. Okay, now that you've listened to me drink, okay, this should be better. Invasive species, I've been getting a lot of stuff crossing my desk about every invasive species in the world. Seems like they all want to come to Michigan. I don't know why. The weather here isn't that fantastic, but they do want to come here. Do keep an eye out for some of them. The Japanese spotted lanternfly would be one. But if you see something that you normally don't see, try catch it, bring it to the brines, or try to identify it, and see if it is something that shouldn't be here, or or whatever. We do need to report anything that shouldn't be here to the Department of Ag. We can help you with that if you don't know what to do. But be smart. You do want to, if you got a plant that is like an invasive species type plant, like a liatris that's in your ditches. Remove the flowers and seed heads before they mature so they don't spread. That is one thing that you can do. Research if pruning or mowing will help control the spread. That might be another thing. And if you're mowing one area and then you're going to another completely different area, you may want to clean the mower. This goes for fungal problems too. So you don't bring one fungal problem to another part of the lawn, or you don't want to bring an invasive species from one part of the lawn to another part of the lawn. So keep those things clean. Keep that in the back of your head that maybe you do want to clean that sort of thing off. Don't add anything that's invasive to your compost piles. Anything invasive or that has fungal problems on it, don't put it in the compost pile. Compost piles notoriously do not get hot enough around here during the winter, and it won't kill all of that stuff. So it's best to bag it and get rid of it that way. Double bag invasive plant material, plastic bags, and dispose of them in certified landfills, and replant any areas quickly. I mean, if you had a lot of garlic mustard, if you had a little woodsy area, you had a lot of garlic mustard, and you took it all out, replant that area as quickly as you can with something else that will grow quickly, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so, well, let's have some more water here. My throat's really not good right now. Okay. Let's see if we can make it to the end of the show. So, now we've talked about all of this sort of stuff. Just enjoy the outside this weekend. Bring in the last of your garden, or not even the last. I mean, my tomatoes are still going strong, so are the peppers. Might be a good weekend to just kind of reflect on what went really well in your garden this year and what didn't go that well. Write it down. I mean, if you got a flavor of peppers that you didn't care for, write it down so you don't get it next year. I got the same stupid beans or pea seed every year, and it was the one I didn't like. And every year, now what one did I could not remember that for the life of me. Okay, now it's etched on my brain, so I know which one I don't like. But do write down what you like, what you didn't like. for next year. Yeah, post it on, tack it to the garage wall or whatever. That always helps. We need to leave right now. I have to remind you, I'll be back Tuesday morning at 8:35 with Dan for the garden party, and then I'll be back on Tuesday morning at 10, between 10 and 11 on Talk of the Town for the garden hour. But I will be back here next Saturday at 11:05 with the garden show. And I think I've got all of those names right now, but that's the most important one. I will be here next Friday live in person. So until then, have a wonderful, safe Labor Day weekend and go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from De Bruyn Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.